Hey guys, welcome to Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast and Live Counterflow. You might be seeing Live Counterflow there. You might be seeing Wealth Wisdom Financial. You might be saying, what the heck are these guys doing nowadays? Well, Live Counterflow has been a project that we've been working on, realizing that the financial system, a lot of systems are broken and we need a different flow. We need a counterflow. And so we've been working on that. It is kind of like our coaching side, Live Counterflow is. And so, but we are still doing Wealth Wisdom. Wealth Wisdom is financial is the, I would say, the products, the tools to make things happen. But today I want to really lean into more of the thoughts and why we need to have this counterflow movement and why we need to then use certain tools to help us. And so I have an amazing guest today, and it is really encouraging to have him because he is another profit first coach. Not only is it a profit first coach, again, when you have profit first, you usually have usually a CPA or a bookkeeper, but you don't have very many coaches out there. The ones that help you think through how profit first works and to coach you to make those adjustments. So Jason has been doing profit first coaching for a long time. He is also has an engineering background. So guess what? We're going to talk about all kinds of engineering. What he has done is create a profit first app, an app that you can have on your phone to be able to see what is needing to take place, when to take allocations, when to do this or that. And so with this app, again, he's taken his engineering background and his coaching experience to be able to lead into this. So it's really exciting to have Jason here to not only just talk about how powerful profit first is, but to show you how you can add in technology in today's world, because we all love technology, right? Jason, thanks for being here. Hopefully this was great. Intro. I'm really excited to have you. We met at Profit Con recently. So take us, how did you end up? I mean, seriously, there's not many people that are engineers that just decide, I'm going to be a profit first coach. Like, how do you end up doing that?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Brandon. I appreciate it. And I will say it's a little bit of a strange story for me. My background is, as you mentioned, in engineering. And so what I started doing engineering the past 20, 25 years. I was in the business for about 20 years. I started my first business back in 2012. And went about 8 or 9 years through that journey of starting a new business. And I felt confident in doing the actual work, the engineering work, and doing the sales side.
Yeah.
I never had any real financial training or anything like that. It kind of just money came in and money went out, and whatever was left over, hopefully I had some for me, kind of thing. And about 2018 maybe-ish, I had it. I'd gone up and down. I was not profitable certain years. I mean, the story.
Yep.
And I brought it up in my peer group, and I said, guys, I'm just sick of this. I'm so sick of this, inconsistency. And there was a guy in my CEO group. His name's Dave Morgan. He's a good friend of mine now. He held up the book right behind you, Profit First. He goes, Jason, you got to read that book. And so it's like, all right, never heard of it. And he actually gave me a book he had in his office, and I read it in the weekend. And it was one of those life-changing books, I will say. And so I just consumed it, and then and it just, from that point, it just kind of changed me. And then we went back to, when I went back to work on Monday, we started implementing the system, and I screwed it up every which way possible. To be honest with you, it seems like a simple concept, right? And you go through the process, and we wound up hiring, somebody to help us. And I went through the process. In about 2 years, my engineering company completely flipped the script on the finances. We went from being hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
Wow.
We had 30 employees, this giant facility, and expense. And yeah, we started implementing the system, and it just completely changed my life, both on the personal side and on the business side. The difficulty is we went from such a big 28 people down to 14. We had to move out of this beautiful facility, and so that's what I always tell my clients is the Profit First system is easy to understand, but it's not always easy to implement. And so, all that to be said is when I went through that process and I saw the outcome, I saw we were debt free. I was getting profits every single quarter. I was making money, more money than I ever had. And it just changed me. I said, I want to do this for other people. And so I signed up to be a Profit First professional coach. And I just never looked back. So
you sold that business, right?
Well, and I exited out. I will say, and I say this because this is what happened. So with the Profit First journey, we not only paid off our debts, but we had built a very significant cash reserve in following the system. Yeah. And it took us about 3 years to get through that. So when I started 2017-ish, by about 2020, we were in a great spot. Yeah. And honestly, I had to make a tough decision. Do I continue on with this business that I really wasn't enjoying anymore? Or, do I kind of seek, what it is my new passion had become? Yeah. And so I just made a determination with my business partner, Richard, and we both were in the same kind of boat. And we said, hey, if the thing can stand up on its own, great. If it doesn't, then, we'll exit off, stage left. And and that's what we did. So we got to a point, we said, we took the money that we had saved up and allocated it to ourselves to start the new business. And it kind of gave us a new adventure. And I'm so grateful.
So did the other business, is it still operational or?
No, we wound up, just shutting it down eventually. And, it was difficult because it's a small business and family environment. I actually had family in there. And
it's a baby, right?
Yeah. I started it. It was 12, 13 years into it almost, by the time we shut it down. But you know what? We did it, and we told the employees months ahead of time, hey, this is coming. And they all went on to make more money. They all got new jobs and making more money. And, we got to do what it is that we want. And so, it was a tough decision, but it was a happy ending for all. Really.
I think that, again, when I do podcasts or listen to stories, there's always we grew it to $1 bazillion and we sold it, or we did all this. No one ever talks about, hey, well, it didn't work out the way I wanted. I wasn't feeling happy, and I made a transition. That's ultimately, we were able to sell our coffee shop for not very much, but we were going to exit whether we got the money or not. Right. And that was a hard thing to make that move. But in the end, what I've learned and why I love the Profit First system is taking care of us. Right? Whenever I think about a lot of business owners, not the uber rich ones that are like taking advantage of people, but the small business owners, the ones that start and are trying to do the best. That's why I became Profit First certified. Is like a lot of times we are last to get paid, and they say, you know what, but you love it. That's why you do it. That's why you don't pay yourself, or the main person makes a big salary and we don't. Right. And I'm like, that doesn't sound healthy. No, and it sounds horrible. And so understanding that and taking profit, having a business, and being okay with whatever that is that we want to grow. If the allocations say, here, your OpEx needs to be this or that to grow to that size business, if that's what you want. The problem is we're told just to keep growing, keep expanding, keep doing this.
It's a race sometimes. It feels like it's like what's the saying? Revenue is vain. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you grow, but you're growing. You're just running harder and working harder, and for what? I mean, you're not You're not bringing home that financial security, to your family and to the business. So
what has been some of your, as you've worked with clients and you've seen the things, what's some of the ones that you're like, oh my gosh, here we go again. Here's the same conversation. Or what's the thing that they don't work with you because they want this and you already know it's a dead end? Like, what are some of those kind of
so
maybe
I'd say,
conversations or things you've seen?
yeah, since I've become a profit first professional, I think it's been 5 years now or more. I would say I've been very fortunate in that I think that most people that I've had the opportunity to coach, and there's been dozens of them at this point, that they're at a point of they've just had enough. They're not getting paid. They're frustrated. They're all hardworking people. You know what I mean? And so the people that you just I mean, you kind of like gravitate towards them instantly because they're doing their best and working hard. So I think I've been fortunate that almost everybody, I would say everybody I work with, is very eager for change. They're very accepting of hey, I need to make a change, and and I'll say the differences are some people come in with massive amounts of debt, which is hard to kind of get, that change, implemented in them to, hey, you can't just keep borrowing money to keep this thing going. We got to make changes for the positive, right?
Yeah.
And so I think those are the most difficult ones, I'd say, is the ones that are so used to just pulling more money out from the debt and just sinking themselves more into it.
I think I've seen that, and that's one of the reasons that I went into the infinite banking space.
Right.
And you mentioned the Profit First book. That was a game changer for us, and the banking yourself and the becoming your own banker book. Both of those books changed my life, and realizing, man, who's working for this business? What I've seen, and this was really annoying to me, and why I transitioned, is the IRS never shows up to work, but they always want a big check. They're never there. And I'm like, I have staff problems already, and then these guys never show up. And then JP Morgan and all the credit card processing fees and everything. I'm like, holy crap. How much money goes to bank fees? And it's amazing if you actually, and I do full financial analysis for people, and I'm like, you realize you're working a third of your life to service debt.
Yep.
That is not healthy.
No.
And we wonder why we're all feeling this kind of brokenness. And I think that there's a lot of people, business owners, for sure, their anxiety, stress levels up, everything is there because they're told, well, no, in order to make this, you just need to take on more debt to keep going. Have you had any of those kind of conversations that are like, hey, you just need to like do a with Gordon Ramsay and yell, shut it all down? Have you ever had those moments?
Yeah. I've had several. Difficult. I've actually had one client come to me and say, Jason, do I need to foreclose? Like, it was so bad. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, we're not there yet. I mean, we just got to make these incremental changes and see if we can get the positive momentum going. So, yeah, horrible. Again, good people working hard, just got themselves in a bad situation. And, but thankfully, none of the clients that I've worked with yet have had to go through that drastic, foreclosure kind of, or, bankruptcy rather. Excuse me.
So as they go through that, what would you say are things to look out for? You knew that person, but maybe you're listening today. And what would you say some of those indicators are that you might say, hey, this might be something you want to look at or talk to somebody? Almost like AA.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great analogy. I would say, I mean, obviously, if you have these debt products available to you, lines of credit and things, credit cards, and you're continuing to run those accounts up and those amounts and debts up, then it's a good indicator you can't afford what it is that you have right now, right? Your business is not capable of, the expenses that you have. And so number one, you got to stop the bleeding, stop the debt, and you got to have that hard conversation with yourself to maybe realize that I got to look inward. I got to look at my expenses. I got to start, making those tough decisions. And so you just got to be intentional and say enough's enough.
Have you had conversations where a lot of times they maybe not know their goals or who they are? Like, is that almost been like a therapist?
Yeah. I mean, I was one of those, right? Before, I found Profit First, and there's another great book that I use. It's called Traction, EOS. So that's another one for setting goals and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of in our nature sometimes to, once we get a business going, you get into it and you're just going, right? And you're not, your head's down and you're not looking up to see, what's ahead of you. And to be honest with you, Brandon, I mean, with my last business, I didn't have in mind that future goal of how I was going to exit, right? So you should always kind of start with the end in mind, right? And so have that end in mind, have what it is that exit, and it may not work out that way, but at least you got a plan. You got a point you're going to, and then you make those goals along the way. So absolutely, it was definitely one of them.
I think that's one of the things that I know Mike's writing a new book for personal finance. I'm not sure what's in it, but I know when we wrote our book, 5 Smooth Stones, that was kind of like, hey, when I ask these people or clients, what are your goals? And they're like, that's a great question. I'm like, oh, really? What are your goals? Like, it's not that hard. But a lot of times we're just on the treadmill running. And we didn't actually make a plan. And if you are just kind of running on this treadmill, you're not going to get anywhere, right? 100%. But if we have a goal and I have the STILL method, so it's looking for micro adjustments and living deliberately, we're more likely to get to that end if we're making those adjustments and moving in that direction and making hard calls. And that's one of the things I love. And I want to go into your software because you've built software, and I bet you've done expense challenges. And I don't know if you are like me. I'm a business owner that likes to buy things, gadgets.
Most of us do, right?
Yeah. Well, my wife is like, do you need it or do you want it? I'm like, I want it. Just give me the thing. That's why we're pretty good, and everybody should have an Amanda in their corner. But at the same time, I'm like, I just want to buy the thing. And so in our budget, as we do with our profit distributions, we have our mad money. I can spend it on whatever the heck I want because I got the profit distribution, and I can go buy Legos, which I have.
I love it. What did you call it?
Oh, mad money.
Mad money. I love it.
Yeah. So we have, if we do 5% to profit, we then split, right? When 2.5 goes to, this will be all in your software, but 2.5 goes into the vault, into a policy for us. But then the other part goes into our mad money account. And then we divide that family mad money and then my personal and her personal. So then it's all done, and hers is bigger than mine because I spend it on Legos.
Legos and stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, might as well. And I have a 7.5-year-old, so of course. But that I'm building experiences. And memories, I will share while we're here. There we go. There's all our Legos.
Oh, look at that Optimus Prime, man.
Yeah. There we go. So there's my Legos, guys. If you didn't know, there's a whole thing over there that is my fun time. But this is what I've learned, and what I've done is I've used the Profit First system, and I haven't just bought Legos or spent money on things. We were able to do it systematically. So you have the software, and I'm curious. You probably do. What are those where I went blank, where we've had to cut expenses.
Yeah, we have a tool in the software. It's called the expense analyzer.
Okay, expense
And
challenge, right?
yeah. So
Uh,
it's one of those tools in the tool belt, right? That you gotta to use and uncover some of the things that you got to cut back on.
how many softwares have you seen that people have bought? Because man, we are death by a thousand paper cuts with all the streaming and all the different things. Have you ever run this tool and seen like, oh my gosh, you're spending this much? Has it ever been a jaw dropping experience that your clients have had after using that tool to say, I didn't know I was spending that much on?
Yeah, I would say yes in some of the regards. 9 times out of 10, I feel that they know what they're spending too much money on.
Mhm.
It's usually travel or some extra, things that they're doing. But yes, so I did have a client today actually that their software as a service
Mhm.
expenses year to date was almost 50K, and they're like,
Wow.
"What?" And I mean, it's a tremendous amount. Now, I
Yeah.
mean, they need certain amounts of those software, but
Mhm.
that was today. Actually, we looked at the report, and they're like, "What?" And we kind of dug in, and that's when we left the meeting today, that was they were going to go investigate all the pieces that were rolling up to that big number. So
And so you were able to pull that and say, all right, here's the big ones, these are the little ones. Are you using like Hulu anymore? I don't know, something like that. I'm just
yeah,
just making fun of Hulu, but I would see that there's all kinds of things, and doing that really helps. We do this at least. It's coming up, so January we'll probably um, cut a bunch of things, and then as inflation goes, all these companies are like, oh yeah, you're on this this monthly subscription, and we raised prices and we didn't even realize,
right.
right?
Oh yeah.
Um, so the software, you've built this software. Why did you build it, and how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, so great question. And kind of the journey was, since I became a first professional, and then I started coaching, dozens of
Mm-hmm.
companies out there. And I have a business partner, Richard Maxwell, who we both were coaching. And
Mm-hmm.
even though we've all been trained, like you, Brandon, and so many of the other PFPs that we met at ProfitCons in the past, everybody was doing it a little differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had their own spreadsheet. Everybody had their own resources. And even when we were coaching one client versus another, there were some differences in how,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nuances there, but the process is still kind of the same, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so we were coaching for a couple of years, and I was talking to Richard. And I said, Richard, I think we can make some software that can really help drive the process, right? Help make us more efficient, help put one, consistent place for us to be able to coaching, our clients. And so, we started messing around with stuff and building stuff. And then we approached Mike, the author, and his team and said, hey, we really like to partner up with you guys and create
Yeah.
something great together. And, we met Ron and Mike and the whole team, and they were all on board. They said, hey, we're all in for this, and so, that's kind of how it was created together, is just through that process. And we did our first launch in September of last year. So it's been out a little over a year now. And so it's kind of hard to believe, to be honest.
Right. I just thought about that recently. I was like, oh my gosh, a year went by.
Quick.
And when you have clients, and I was just talking to a client today, I'm like, yeah, you're 5 years, and just kind of strange how time flies, I guess.
It does.
Well, and then what I love about the software, or even understanding, is to be able to have that at the palm of your hands, right? I am more like Captain Kirk. My wife is like Spock, so she builds all those softwares and all of those things or different tools that I've used and been able to go through. And I can tell you how much is in because I use YNAB on all these tools. I can tell you how much I can spend on Legos right now because she's really good at that. Not every business owner, I would bet you, isn't a Spock, right?
Right. Oh, I agree with
Yeah.
you. 100%.
Yeah. And so what this tool, I believe, is creating is more of your console to be able to do those things. So Captain Kirk doesn't screw it up.
That's right. That's a great analogy. I love that.
Yeah, probably I would think. And
No,
I'm like,
it
oh
is.
yeah, this. And so could you walk us or show us a little bit? And let me back up a second. If you're coming on here, you're a business owner and you have never read Profit First, I would highly recommend. It's an older book, but every business owner should read that book. And oftentimes, when we go into business, we're told, "Oh, well, just make more sales and you'll be successful." And we keep going through it, and we are always building more revenue, and we aren't taking care of ourselves or putting profit first. Is exactly what it says. And so that's the thing that we want to flip, where your bookkeeper, if they're not familiar with Profit First, they're doing the old way and they're doing that revenue minus expenses kind of model. And we want to make sure, as you run a business, if you go to put money into the market, you want a dividend, you want a return
Sure. Yep.
on your investment. That's why we go into the market. Business owners, you should want a return from the work you do. That's what Profit First is giving that and making sure it's profitable and reverse engineering it. And so the software that he's going to show helps to visualize that for Captain Kirks like me.
That is a great analogy. And what I'll piggyback on what you just said there, Brandon. Read that book if you haven't. I've read it, I think, at least 5 times at this point, gone through the different, because you always feel like I learned something when I read it. But, you read the book, and a lot of times people don't know what the next step is, right? And, the next step could be a few different things, right? But you read the book, and you are the Captain Kirk, right? And you're not somebody that is, into that finances. It's like me. I was an engineer, and, I just didn't have that financial back. Read the book, made sense. And I thought, well, what next, right? And so there wasn't, you can hire a first professional like you and I, right? And I highly recommend getting the professional help, right? But the app was intended to really solve 2 problems, really to help those that are DIYers, right? That want to do profit first, the solopreneurs, smaller businesses that are out there fighting the fight every day and, need something to help them. And then number 2 is to help people like you and I, Brandon, to coach. I use the app to coach all of my clients right now, and I can't imagine coaching without it anymore. So it's really those 2 things is to read the book. Now what? Okay, get the app. Hire a Profit First professional, and you do both of those, then you're gonna be rocking and rolling for sure. So. But I'll be happy to share just a couple of things with you real quick on it.
Yeah. And again, as you guys see this, I want to make sure when you go to the site, definitely tell them that you heard it from us. But check out this tool, because it is an amazing tool. I think business owners should have that or something that is comparable to that. And I would say, man, Jason actually created it, because he's seen how it works. So,
well, I'm one of the creators. So there's definitely a team of people that did it. So are you able to see my screen now?
There we go. Look at that.
Okay, so this is just the website. Okay, so so this is the Profit First app website, right? There's obviously the author, Mike. And if you're looking to get started, you hit the button up here at the top to get started, and it will bring you on. And I wanted to bring you here first, because when you start the process of logging into the software, what's unique about the software is that Mike, the author of Profit First, he has small video clips that we have there that walk you through the process, right? So many times you log into a software, you're like, what is this? Well, the great thing here is that Mike walks you through every step of the process to help get you set up and going. And so it's a very important piece. You can see we have a new feature coming out that's coming in mid-November. We're very excited about, and I can kind of give you a little teaser on that. But this is the website you go to get started. And I'm going to jump into just showing you the software real quick. Okay, so this is the dashboard, and I want to back up real quick. Again, when you sign up, it's going to walk you through the wizard process, right? And Mike's going to kind of walk you through several questions here. But what a lot of people struggle with is, hey, I've read the book. Okay, now I need to do what's called the Profit First assessment. So I need to figure out what are my caps, what are my allocation percentages, what are my bank accounts that I need to open, what's the next step? And that's what the Profit First app will do for you. It will do the assessment for you. We have two assessments called the quick assessment and full assessment. And the quick assessment is as simple as you pull this up, you answer 4 to 5 questions, and it's going to help generate the bank accounts and the allocation percentages for you. So the app quickly solves that first problem for everybody as to what bank accounts do I need to open and what do I start doing. So that's the biggest thing people ask, get stuck with. The number 2 thing people get stuck with is, what do I do? How often do I allocate? So the Profit First app will make recommendations to say, we're gonna start you off weekly allocations. It will send you notifications or email notifications to let you know, hey, it's time for you to make your allocations. And then as you progress, right, like clients you probably work with, Brandon, right? You're going to progress. So you're going to open up your bank accounts. You're going to start doing your allocations. And then you're going to progress to some of these other tools. And obviously we don't have time to go through all the tools, but up here at the top right, you have things like called the allocation calculator, the profit allocator, the quick assessment, and you reference the expense analyzer. This is a really cool tool that right here you put in your P&L statement, and what this tool does for you, I'm going to zone in down here to the summary if you can see it. What it does is it takes your expenses in your P&L statement, and it will go out and compare it against the benchmarks out there for companies of your same size, of your same type, whatever industry you're in, if you're a product or service business, and in the location you're at. And it's going to say, hey, your expenses are a little bit out of whack in these areas here, right? For this particular example. So the sample, right? The advertising and marketing, the user had a spend of about almost 8% of their revenue. The benchmarks are saying, hey, for your company type and size and industry, you should be only spending about 5%. And so that's going to save us about $8,000 right here. So this tool will go through and analyze your expenses and provide you with suggestions on what it is that you should, pay attention to. And so that's kind of one of the tools here, among many, many tools over here you can use to help manage the Profit First system. But one thing that Mike was really big on is he called it billboard, the billboard mentality. And the billboard mentality is, I want to be able to quickly log in and see where I'm at. Yeah. And what we did there is his vision was the jars here. And the jars tell you, this is just a demo company, so there's a variety of flavors here, but it's going to be, green is you're on track, red is you're off track, yellow is, you're in between, and then blue is, you're crushing it, right? So one of the nice things about the Profit First app, whether it's on the laptop computer, the web version like we're seeing here, or like you said, in your hand, the mobile version, you can log in at any time, and the Profit First app connects to your bank, and it will tell you, am I on track or am I off track in regards to my allocations and what are in my different bank accounts, so that I can, have some assurance I have enough to make payroll. I have enough to pay my bills without you having to go through, the worry of digging in and all that yourself.
Nice. I think the visuals and I think about us as business owners, like we didn't have these kind of tools when we started. It was like Excel or using YNAB, right? And luckily, I have a Captain Spock in there that can help us figure that out. But again, these kind of tools help you to then say, all right, we're off. This is red. This is blinking red. And sometimes in the personal finance space, we use other tools to see similar things for, am I on track for retirement or on long-term care or liquidity? And so to have these kind of almost gamification of that is pretty amazing. And for you to be able to create that, because I know how hard it is to create softwares and tools and to get buy-in, right? Everybody's like, well, it's broken here or it's not doing this, but be able to see that for different businesses, I really like that expense thing too. I just don't want my wife to know about it because she'll maybe use it.
That's right. And it's the gamification is a great, I'm glad you brought that up, because if you look down here, we do score, basically give you a score for your allocation performances. So, and I say allocation performances, but it just gives you a good, temperature read on, hey, I'm doing my allocations every week. How am I doing? Right?
Yeah.
And so it does provide you scores. It does provide you, right, this widget in the middle is called the enterprise value. And what that is, it's not a true enterprise value, but it is a number that is depending upon how much debt the business has versus over time, how much cash is being added to the business. It gives you one nice number to see, am I trending in the right direction, or am I going down that debt path, right? Because one of the tools here in the software is called the Debt Crusher, and it really just monitors your debts and lets you know, hey, months to debt free. Looks like at the current trajectory, I'm going to be debt free in 16 months. I got one of 3 debts that are paid off, and since I started tracking my debts, I paid off 10,000 of my 50,000. So these are some feel goods, right? That the software can do and make sure that you're trending in the right direction. And it kind of rolls it up into one number there on the main screen for you. So definitely some high level numbers for you to look at and kind of make, the decisions for you.
Well, and if we want to exit, eventually we want to think about what's my end game, whether you sell or whatever. We are going to have problems in the future of people who have businesses that they can't sell, right? Or they thought that was retirement, those kind of things. And so being able to have a sellable asset, business owners who want to buy an asset are going to be wanting to see these kind of things. And so doing a business valuation alongside this and being able to plug that straight in, that's a game changer right there. And then you can already tell a potential buyer, hey, well, this is where it's at.
Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. So
that I'm already seeing all kinds of other things as I'm a financial on the finance side and part of like a group called Exeter Club and other things. They're like, all right, this is something they definitely would love.
Absolutely. Right? And just to go back to here, our coming soon feature, I just want to announce for everybody that one of the biggest features everybody has asked for is for the Profit First app, not only to calculate what the bank accounts, not only to tell you what bank accounts to open to implement the system, not only to tell you what the allocation percentages are, but now starting in a few weeks from today, we are integrating with a bank called Dream First. And Dream First,
Nice.
if you have your bank, if you're banking at Dream First, then the app will actually go out and do the allocations for you automatically and log it all for you. So really, the app is helping you calculate. It's helping you. It's now going to go out to the bank and move the money in between the accounts for the allocations automatically for you on a scheduled basis that you can set, and it will log it so your performance. So it is kind of a one-stop shop now for being able to manage and run the Profit First system very easily. So we're very excited at that. So
nice. Well, now I just got to show. I have these Post-its. Dream First.
There they are. You see, there you go.
Yeah.
Dream First.
So that's kind of fun. I literally just opened up those Post-its. I think yesterday.
Yeah. And they've been a great partner to work with, and we're very excited because the URL will be profitfirst.bank.
Nice.
So we're excited about that.
Cool. Well, Jason, thanks for being here. I'm excited being in the technology. I think I'm a technology expert, but understanding that our world is moving fast. We need to understand our numbers even more now in a fast moving world. And to be able to have it at the palm of our fingertips is even better. And so how can people find you? If they want to talk to you specifically, how do they reach out? What's the best way to connect with you?
So going to the Profit First app website, signing up, and then you can message us through the portal, but you can see me at LinkedIn, or my email is jason@profitproapp.com. I'd be happy to field any questions from anybody as well.
Cool. Well, you guys definitely, thanks for being here, Jason. Thanks for helping businesses become profitable and maintain profitability. I think it's in a world that we're in now with all of the inflation challenges and cost of this and cost of healthcare, cost of running a business is not easy. People think, oh yeah, you make a ton of money because you're like, yeah, I work more hours to try and figure out how to give you healthcare or whatever.
It's that illusion that we're going to the bank with our wheelbarrow of cash every day, right? As a business owner, and we all know that's not how it goes.
I mean, I was taking mainly singles when I owned the coffee shop to the bank, and I was like, all right, this is not very much, but I felt rich with those dollar bills, but they were not 20s. They were not 20s or hundreds. Yeah, I probably picked the wrong industry back then. So, well, Jason, thanks for being here. I loved it, and yeah, keep being profitable. And I am so glad that you're in the world helping business owners thrive in a world of chaos.
Likewise, Brandon. I appreciate you having me, and it's an honor. I'm happy we got to spend the time at BrofitCon and continue on doing what we're doing together.
More is coming. So cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.